Hello everyone and welcome to the Porsche PMR Cup round number 7 here at the mini Nurburgring, also known as Oulton Park. My local track growing up. You couldn't really get more local than Oulton Park growing up for me. But it's going to be playing host to the Porsche PMR Cup, like I just said. Not that hard to figure out. Today we're at the island circuit, so it's got the short hairpin, a lot like the British touring cars and where the 911 Super Cup cars normally rotate around this track, so it's going to be a good fun. We haven't got the championship, unfortunately, to run you through, but we have got a whole host of cars ready and roaring to go on the circuit sooner rather than later. Normally, obviously, we have the 2 races and the 2 qualifying sessions, and today is no different. 45-minute feature race at about 10 to 9, or 9 o'clock. We have 2 qualifying. The first qualifying is about to get underway at 8 o'clock. That's a 10-minute session. We then go into a 15-minute sprint race, followed by a 15-minute qualifying session, followed by a 45-minute feature race. So you can sort of guess where this is going. It's going to be a good night of racing that's sort of split up into sprint, all-out action, and then everybody calms themselves down, get themselves into a rhythm for the 45-minute endurance race. If you want to have a chat on the chat, then go ahead. That's absolutely sound. I'll be trying to keep up with the comments as much as I can. If I'm looking this way, it's because my monitor with all the chat settings and everything is on this side, and my monitor with the racing is directly in front of me, or now under you. I'm not sure which way I prefer to have the webcam, but we're going for this one at the moment. With any luck, Katie even says best track. See, already popping off. And Katie, thank you very much for the share as well. Matt Emmons, thank you very much for the like on the stream. We're getting it off. Well, I believe, Matt, did I see rightly that you're actually potentially entering this series now? Let's have a see where everyone is. In fact, we can bring up the race, and at the moment we've got like Dave Newsham, who currently on board with, or not on board, but focusing on. Jamie Doy, Matt Emmons, you are in here. I don't believe we've seen you before in this championship. As I said, unfortunately, we don't have the championship standings, which is really gutting. They didn't update from Bathurst, which was awesome, by the way. If you haven't caught Bathurst stream, then, you know, stay tuned for this one. But then head back, because it's really not to be missed. Absolute cracking race. For both of them as well, to be fair. Plenty of crashes, thrills and spills that you can imagine around Bathurst. Oulton Park, a touch easier, but only a touch. It's a very demanding track. Obviously, track limits are pretty harsh, and if you sort of abuse the outside of any of the corners, you'll probably end up in a wall. What else have we got to say about it? Yeah, well, we're going to get straight into it, because we've got 58 minutes gone on practice, so I'll cut you to the actual screen. So as you can see, we're out on board at the moment with Simon Clayton. And this might give us a good chance to actually get a full on-board, or we might wait till qualifying for that one. I'm leading Dave Ward by 16 points, Matt Allen says. So yeah, Matt, you had a brilliant Bathurst, didn't you, from memory? I think you had a first and a second. Do correct me if I'm wrong. We're also going to have a few interviews, which is going to be really exciting, coming our way today. Dave Newsham said he wants to get involved, and the Fast R lot, one of which, Freddie Hewitt, who has sent me a message saying he wants to get involved in some of the interviews. He's come on and messaged me as well, saying they'll be in between race 1 and 2, because there's normally a relatively big gap between race 1 and 2, so that'd be absolutely awesome. As you can see, the gaps are relatively close here at the moment. Dave Newsham and Dave Ward, very close indeed, 2.5 tenths of a second. And then Matthew Hodges, who is, I believe, a name that I don't recognise from this series. Although, at the moment, he's going very quickly. He's in the pits. So, when I say at the moment, he's currently in the pits. Callum Newsham's in the mix as well. Colin Martin, Adam McNally is back. He's in 7th place at the moment. But the Excite driver back in it again. I know he's been pushing hard to try and improve his Porsche running. He's been streaming a lot on the Excite Facebook page for, you know, practicing in the Porsche, trying to get into some high quality competition. That is my notifications you can hear. I will try and turn them off for the next couple of hours. Apologies about that if you're thinking that's your phone going mental. With any luck, we'll have some exciting battles, and the addition of the likes of Adam McNally, and I'm sure the likes of Matthew Hodges as well, and Matt Emmons, of course, will be a positive. Matt is, I know him because he was one of the most active members in terms of the stream that we had in the WTCR series. He was always commenting and liking and sharing. Speaking of liking and sharing, thank you very much to Colin Martin for the share. Matt Allen's come along with the likes as well. Good luck, Matt Allen. From Den Allen. Send it, apparently. You've heard him, Matt. Get on it. Make it entertaining for us. Come on. Having said that, it's been very entertaining. We had a chat to Lee Horn last week in between the two races, and he was saying about how much, well, we were talking about, sorry, that how much the sort of competition has upped since we've, lost a few of the other drivers who maybe would have been the standout of the field, the likes of Bobby Thompson and Josh Malin and Will Oulton. But mine went out of my head then. Will Oulton. And since those three had disappeared, really, we thought, oh, maybe the standard would go a bit lower. But if anything, it's actually upped the rest of the field, which has been brilliant. Exactly what we wanted to do. Thank you very much. There's a whole host of people absolutely sending the notifications in at the moment. Dan Allen with the like, and Matt Emmons with the share as well. Thank you very much, guys. Absolutely awesome to have you along. And whatever format you're watching this on, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, give it a like, give it a share, subscribe if you're on Facebook. That'd be awesome. Lee Horn, thank you very much for the like. I hope you guys. I made this whole substandard racing driver persona back when I was racing. If anything, now it feels like I'm insulting people because the drivers are liking the stream and it's calling them a substandard racing driver. That is absolutely couldn't be further from the truth in this case. A lot of drivers here are really sort of top quality, I think anyway, in terms of what I've seen and what I've covered over the past couple of years. Years? I haven't even been doing it a year. Past couple of months. But, you know, the whole substandard racing driver thing, I feel like it sort of brings a community together, you know. It's a proper British thing to do, isn't it? A bit self-deprecation. I said that wrong once in a scene. I said it's self-defecation, and it wasn't exactly on a more relaxed stream like this one. It was on like a proper stream. Yeah, I didn't even notice when I said it. Luckily, no one sort of picked up on it, but I watched it back and I cringed so hard. Right, they're starting their flying laps. When I say flying laps, this is probably more likely to be their second warm-up lap sort of thing, second fast lap. Ollie Wayne's here in the RAF car. He's hoping for a little bit better. He was a bit inconsistent, although he keeps coming back. He keeps trying again. And we're all about that here. Oh, tell you what, I've done that before and ended up in the wall in my Janetta days. In real-life racing, that's always a nasty one straight in there. Again, a tough braking zone down to the hairpin, all the way down the gears at that point. I'm not sure who that was off the track. Let's see what we can find out. But a couple of drivers about to start. Matt Evans here, in fact, locking up and going straight on. I'm sure he won't be very pleased for me to cut to him. The Michelin branded car. What's brought along the Michelin branding, and Matt? It'll be interesting to have your view on that one. No one's set a lap time as of yet, so we can run you down a little bit of some of the sponsors that we got here today with us. Well, not here today, but they're supporting the series. It's obviously powered by Next Gen. This is the Porsche PMR Cup, and the fact that the PMR is in the title probably gives you a little bit of a hint of one of the named partners. Joyce Design as well on here, Fast Star, and many more, obviously, to be announced. I'll shout out any and all of them. I believe Jochen Sigert wanted me to change the name. Matt Emmons, where are you going? Change the name of his team as well. And I'll just double check that I've done that because I think my project file was a little old. Colin Martin's got on top of the timing tower at the moment. Doing a very good job as well. He looks very close to the Next Gen livery, but it's not quite. I believe Jochen Sigert, yeah, he's part of the Next Gen crew. So I will very quickly change that if no one minds. Sorry about this, just making sure that all the names are properly represented. And there we go. So, who have we got on board now? David Ward, top of the timing tower. Now, he is in the championship running himself and Matt Allen. Very close indeed. Matt hasn't set a lap time yet. He's been out. He must have got a off track. So David Ward puts down the early marker with Matt Hodges 0.6 of a second behind. We'll expect that to go down a little bit. We had a lot of love for this track. It appears in an awful lot of series as well. Nearly every single series I do comes to Oulton Park at least once. The MX-5 on a Tuesday night that I'm covering actually goes to Oulton Park twice. They're doing the Foster's circuit, which is the shortest configuration that you can do here at Oulton Park. It misses out the hairpin, and you basically don't even do cascades. You just come down and then go straight down, and you don't even really do the chicane at Nurburgring either, I don't think. You just go all the way down and pitch it in right. But as we're on board with David Ward at the moment, let's have a look at what he can bring to the table. He's already on pole position. Can he improve his time at all? In fact, one way of showing, he does improve his time by 1/10 of a second. It's a good qualifying by David. Remember, there is 2 qualifying sessions here today. We are expecting, tell you what, Callum Newsham's on a charge. Where is he? On track at the moment. Oh, that's a fast car going around in circles in the background, coming out of Druids. Going through Old Hall, then down the dip. Where's Callum Newsham going to put his car? Dave Newsham's in 13th place at the moment. Not really a brilliant time by him, but as he comes across the line, Callum Newsham goes up to... Oh, Dave Newsham goes up to 2nd place, but Callum actually set an incorrect time. It was, unfortunately, a track limit, I imagine. But Dave, with a purple 5th sector, goes into 2nd place. Only a 10th behind Dave Ward. Matt Hodges, only less than a 10th of a second behind Dave Newsham. Very close indeed. And as I said, we're hoping to get an onboard lap with one of these drivers. Let's see what Matt Allen's going to pull out the bag. He's going through Druids now. He's pulling over to the right hand side, so maybe he's charging up for a quick run, and we'll try and go on board with him. He may well be coming into the pits, in which case this will be a fail of an experiment. But Matt Allen, the championship leader, late apex and early on the power. This suggests that he's going for a flying lap. And we're off by the looks of it. Matt Allen then straighten up for the left-hand side, try and open the corner up as much as possible. You can see the sort of where the rubber is bedding itself in on the circuit there. Don't go too wide. Track limits will have you off there. Keep it to the right. Don't hit the curb, though, as you duck down through cascades. Oh, keep it left, keep it left. And don't get greedy on the power because it can spit you right back out. Now, remember, we're doing the island hairpin, so as the track goes dark there, the car will dip down, go all the way down the gears. Keep it right. Such a slow corner. You have to be so patient, but it's so crucial because you then come out towards Nurburgring hairpin. Over the hill, you want to keep it slightly more right there, I reckon. But as he goes down towards the 100 mark, he hits the brakes. Don't hit the rector cell on the right. Don't hit the rector cell on the left. Make sure you keep it turned in there. It's important to maybe keep in the same gear. You don't want to shift up too early so you can still get that turning on the car. Over the hill now, that's where we saw one of the fast star cars have a spin, and into Druids, one of the best corners in the country in my opinion. It's the second apex you really want to nail. The first one is slightly optional, but the second one, if you don't hit that, you'll be hitting a wall. Now keep it slightly right over the crests and the bumps. So hilly here, Oulton Park, and into Lodge now. A really hard corner. Again, one of those corners that you really don't want to be greedy on the power. You will spit out into the wall. How do I know that? I've absolutely done it in real life again. And across the line goes Matt Allen, and it's moved him up to 2nd place. So we did pick a very good lap time to go on board with, because he's only 1/1000th of a second behind his championship rival and David Ward. My goodness, we're in for a treat here. Everybody says that it's slightly difficult to have overtaking and close racing here at Oulton Park. I've covered this track plenty of times in sim racing and been proven wrong, that statement wrong hundreds of times, to be honest. The MX-5s especially are absolutely mental around here. But today we're obviously with the Porsches. Unlike in real life, if they crash them, they won't have to pay for replacements. So I imagine they'll be taking every opportunity that they can see. But it is a difficult place to race. So that thousandths of a second could be the swing in the championship come the end of the day, depending how well Dave Ward can get the power down off the line and how well he can defend. We're into the last 40 seconds of this race, and remember there's only of this qualifying, sorry. And remember there is only a 15-minute race after this, and then we do another qualifying, so it'll be another chance for Matt Allen to put in a pole position time. Thank you very much to Gaz Wheel for the share on the stream. Brilliant to have you along. And holy cow, there's been some movement on the chat. Come on, Dave and Callum, says Ken Sim. Sim? Sorry for saying that one. Come on, Evans, says Katie. Matt Evans, have you let the wife do quali for you? Oh, don't be so mean, Katie. Where is it? At the moment, he's in 18th. But he is new to the championship, so we'll let him off. 10 minutes, of checkered flag has just about dropped. Oh, I tell you what, that is a special announcement. Pedro Miguel Arevalo Luna. Basically, Pedro, thank you very much for the follow. Awesome to have you on board. We're going to give you the rundown as soon as everybody sort of crossed the line and come into the pit. Chris Knox and Simon Clayton, I can tell you right now, are the only two that haven't set a lap time. Adam McNally is in 7th place. Callum Newsham, that's the driver I was looking for. He's leapfrogged his dad. I tell you what, how close is this top 5? We'll give you a rundown as soon as it's available, obviously, but this is incredible to see. I can't wait for the Oulton Park. A lot of people on the Discord. Matt Hodges, how has he wedged himself in there? There was 800ths of a second to play with between Newsham and Allen, and he's put himself 300ths of a second ahead of Newsham, 500ths of a second behind Allen. My goodness. I think that is easily, as well, the closest we've had for pole position shootout between Matt Allen and David Ward. 1,000ths of a second is absolutely incredible. If that doesn't bode well, if that's not what you're into racing to see, then why are you watching at the end of the day? So as we wait for the final couple of cars to finish up, Chris Knox and Sam Holman are still out on track. Freddie Hewitt is also still out on track. Chris, I believe, we're just waiting for him to finish. Here he is. He's in a rather battered Domino's looking car. And he's trying to put on a show! Screw you, supporters. You're not supposed to be here anyway, he says. Proper takeoff, that one, wasn't it? Yeah. Most tracks are built on old airfields, but not Oulton Park. Definitely not. I'm trying to bring us the qualifying results, but iRacing does like to have a little bit of a play with us from time to time, to be fair. So we'll bring you the race info until we go straight into the race and bring you the grid then and there. With any luck, it'll let us have enough time to do such things. In fact, here we go. Dave Ward on pole position and then 1,000ths of a second, quicker than you can blink or click your fingers. Matt Allen in 2nd place. Matt Hodges somehow wedged himself in between Callum Newsham and Allen, and so it means Newsham is in 4th place. Newsham's also in 5th place, but it's the Dave. Adam McNally in 6th, Michael Seal in 7th, Lee Horn in 8th, Colin Martin in 9th, Jamie Dory in top 10, Freddie Hewitt is 11th, and Ollie Wayne in 12th. 13th sees Jeff Perkis, Jochen Sigert in 14th, and not a Nightback Audi, sorry, he's in the Next Gen crew. Matthew Addy in 15th, Thomas Delaney in 16th, Sam Holman in 17th, Matt Emmons in 18th, Chris Knox and Simon Clayton round out the field. And we will soon be going racing. A bit of flash of the lights there by Adam McNally, trying to put a few people off potentially. I'll tell you what, we'll take that track map away so we can see more of the action here on circuit, because it's going to be very tasty indeed, I'm sure. The Newsham nutters shouting all over the cave, all over the UK for Dave and Callum by the sounds of it. That's what Ken says. Very well done to him as well, to be fair. Well, both of them actually. I imagine there's a bit of rivalry at the moment in the household with Callum outperforming Dave, but we'll have a look at it. Dave Ward on the start line then. Let's have a look at how they're going to start. 5 lights are away we go, and it's an absolute rocket start by Matthew Hodges. I don't think Matt Allen will be too pleased because he's been overtaken already by Dave Ward up the inside of the first corner. Going down towards Cascades now. He's got to keep it right, but it's those who are on the left-hand side will have the advantage. I tell you what, no, I'm wrong again, because Dave Ward is in 2nd place. I thought he may well, but Matt Allen's had a problem. I say a problem. He's had a spin. He's gone right off at Cascades. Cold tyres, too much power. Ends up in the tyre wall. Matt Hodges, I tell you what, the Newsham boys going hammer and tongs. I wouldn't like to be at the dinner table if this goes wrong. Adam McNally in 5th place as well, is trying to put his nose into the mix, and there's been an awful lot of crashing in behind. A few drivers. Freddie Hewitt is one of them. He's the one driving off there. Matt Allen is going past him now. Lee Horn was also involved in that. We'll try and keep up to date with what's happening there. One of the Newshams has gone straight on. This is Dave versus Adam McNally, so Callum Newsham has unfortunately gone off the track. Not entirely sure what happened to him. Again, we'll try and find that one out. He's currently coming up the hill. I think he went straight on. Don't know whether he was touched. His back end looks alright. He might have just outbroken himself and got caught with the cold tyres again. Chris Knox is up 13 positions. So maybe that air. But oh no, he's gone straight into the wall out of Druids again. Oh, tell you what, he's going. Oh my days. This is what sim racing can happen, unfortunately. Michael Seal ends up higher than a kite. And, well, he came back down to earth with a bit of a bang. And by the looks of it as well, not Sam Holman, Colin Martin is in the wall at the last corner as well. David Ward has started the second lap in blissful isolation now. I'm sure he won't be too bothered about any of it. In fact, it was an error by Matt Allen that actually inherited the lead, and I can't believe we're saying this, but Matt Allen, who went off at the Cascades, he was the first driver to have it off. He's actually up to 11th place now. So that shows just how much action we've had in the first lap or two. I can't believe every time I seem to cut to someone, they seem to fall off the track. So all that hope we had in qualifying, maybe we would have the really close racing, thousands of seconds in it, hundreds of seconds, things have disappeared slightly. But Adam McNally is still knocking on the door, and Dave Newsham, and this could be a battle to watch as well. Adam, obviously a very experienced sim racer, plenty of practice in the Porsche car, whereas Dave Newsham, obviously an extremely experienced real-life racer, not so much in the sim, but he seems to be enjoying himself and getting ever quicker as well. Matt Hodges, again, a driver I haven't got that much of knowledge about. It'd be brilliant if someone could fill me in on that one. Hopefully, I have got a form he could fill out to give me some more information if he wants to carry on this. If he wants to carry on the series, Chris Knox actually ended up in the pits because he had that off earlier on, coming out of Druids. And there is a little bit of a fight for Thomas Delaney, Freddie Hewitt, and Jochen Sigert. But that's all the way down to 11th place. So we're going to keep a quick eye on these guys. These guys are as close as anybody else is. Callum Newsham's rejoined, and actually Jamie Dorian himself are having a right good ding-dong. Coming out of Cascades. Everybody seems to have warmed their tyres up by now, which is nice to see. And we'll potentially be able to have a quick look. Remember, this is only a 15-minute race. So it's all action all the time. Let's see if we can go back to the beginning. And there's an awful lot of crashing. Matt Allen then, let's have a look at his off. He goes straight into the race lead off the line, and it will kick into action in a second. Here he is then. He goes through, and just too much power ended up spinning him off, and as I said, actually, he's actually come back on. He's currently in 10th place, so it could be a lot worse. Then we had a crash down at the Island Hairpin for Lee Horn, Freddie Hewitt, Michael Seal, Colin Martin, Chris Knox, Ollie Wayne, and Matthew Addy. That's a mouthful. Let's have a look. Oh, just a touch up his inside there from Lee Horn. Not sure who that is. 17 in the Fast R car. That's Freddie Hewitt. So it's actually Freddie going in the back of Lee. Let's have a look at it from Freddie's angle. That's a long way back. He's just tried to close the gap up by braking late, and he's just touched the car of Lee Horn there, unfortunately, and that's just sent him round, and it ended up actually probably slightly worse for Freddie by the looks of it. Although Lee Horn is behind him, so I'm sure Lee would probably disagree with that one. This is from the perspective of Michael Seal, one of the other Fast R cars. I think he's just behind. Yeah, he tried to tuck up in behind Freddie Hewitt. And he's actually the one that ended up going into Freddie. Jochen Sigert goes into the back of it. Not Jochen Sigert, sorry. Colin Martin goes into the back of him. Colin then goes into the side. And it's just a bit of a mess, unfortunately. Then we had a bit of an incident for Callum Newsham. Very interesting to see what happened here. Did he just outbrake himself? Yeah, a bit of a lock-up. And didn't know... Well, knew he couldn't take the corners. So he goes straight on and nick a book. Then finally, around Druids, we saw this one live. Chris Knox over the crest, power early, cold tyres, very, very easily done. And let's just have a look at it. Oh, actually, this is Matt Emmons. What's he done? Oh, going into Druids, he just went too wide on the left-hand side. You do want to open Druids up, but he was a bit too forceful with that and couldn't transfer the weight. I think we all want to see what happens here. And woohoo! Michael Seal goes flying. That's probably the last... Oh, goodness me. That is the last view you want to see as a racing driver. Michael Seal won't be pleased with that one, especially if he's using VR. And that's Matt Emmons going into the wall again. So that's actually live. Matt Emmons going off. Have we had any more incidents? I don't think we've had too many incidents. Matthew Addy's had a few. Oh, Matt Hodges. He was in this fight for 3rd place. The 2nd place even. He just goes wide out of the first corner. And that's let Newsham and Adam McNally through. So now they're still fighting for 2nd place. But it's not Hodges in the lead of that race anymore. It is Dave Newsham. In fact, Hodges comes in... sorry, that's Matt Emmons. Hodges comes... He's in 4th place. 5th place. 4th place, sorry, still. It's because Matt Emmons... coming into the pits messed up the timing just a touch, so apologies about that. A little bit of hits and misses, but David Ward still leads the race, it's safe to say. He's got a rather substantial margin, 2.5 seconds between himself and this fight now, and Adam McNally looks to be going up the inside into the first corner. He can't quite make it stick though. He doesn't try it. He's just trying to fill the mirrors of Dave Newsham, who has spent his entire career soaking up pressure. I'm sure he won't be too bothered about having another driver try and flash him or shake him up a little bit. Although in the sim, it may be a little bit of a different story. That's one of the conversation topics hoping to bring up with him a little later on. This is the closest battle we have on circuit at the moment. Hodges doesn't look like... Oh! McNally's got into the back of him. And Dave Newsham ends up, there's no other words for it, getting binned. And I think Adam McNally knows that, which is why he's waiting for Newsham to get going. And then he's going to carry on himself. Let's have a quick look at that from the onboard of Adam McNally here. So he's got a good run out of Cascades. It's safe to say he's got a better run than Dave. He's looking to the inside. He just misses his braking zone and goes careering into the backside of Dave Newsham. I'm sure he won't be too proud of it. I'm sure it wasn't on purpose. Dave luckily keeps on going. He's still in the top 6. All of a sudden, Matthew Hodges re-inherits the 2nd place, by the way. Callum Newsham is trying to hunt down Jamie Dory still. This is now the closest battle on track at the moment. And it's involving another Newsham as he goes up the inside of Lodge. Oh, deep on the brakes there. A little bit too deep. Jamie Dory cuts back in and keeps that 3rd place away from him for now. That bottom step of the podium is what they're fighting for at the moment. And Ollie Waynes, who's had, let's face it, a pretty woeful Bathurst round, he's up into 5th place, which is awesome. It'll be brilliant to see some of the underdogs come through and get some good results. But they're 8.5 minutes into this 15-minute race now, well over halfway. I'd say well over, just about over halfway. About a minute over halfway, in fact. It looks like everything's sort of settling down into a little bit of a rhythm. We have a battle between Jochen Sigurd as well as Lee Horn. Have a quick look at this between the two next gens. And I say a little bit of a battle. I'm not sure who that number 19 car is. Thomas Delaney, who's just ahead, who's locked up and span round. A little bit camera shy potentially from Thomas Delaney. Although he wouldn't have known that I was looking at him at that time, I don't think. So Dave Newsham and Ollie Wayne, Dave Newsham, sorry, and Matt Allen this is. Matt obviously qualifying in 2nd place. Spinning at Cascades, and he's all the way up to 6th place. And I'm not sure if that's a fantastic drive. We haven't really been keeping an eye on him, or the fact that everybody else seems to be falling off the circuit, or a little bit of both. But at the moment, it's no denying that Matt Allen's pace is there. It's just whether or not he's got the opportunity and the time left to catch up to the rest of the field. He's looking at the inside of Dave Newsham at the moment, though. Jamie Dory and Lee and Callum Newsham are still side by side, neck and neck. Here we go, actually. Callum Newsham up the inside of Jamie Dory. Does he have the position? No, the momentum carried around the outside by Jamie Dory is monumental. And he keeps the position sound and safe. Ollie Wayne's probably looking at this thinking, okay, boys, you can keep doing what you're doing. I'll come in at the end and mop it all up a little bit. As they go very wide, Callum Newsham, is he going to go into the wall? He's overstretched his mark. And it snaps back round on him. And is he going to get out ahead of his dad? He's not. And so Callum Newsham has had 2 offs, 2 little mistakes this afternoon, and it's cost him a whole host of times. Is he going to spin round Jeff Perkins? No, he's going to make contact though and spin himself. That's Callum's day getting from bad to worse, and he's reversing onto the racing line. Just about manages to pick a moment where everybody else is just about not there. If he hasn't got triple screen monitors, that would be very, very dodgy. Oh, Dave Newsham has had a crash. This was just before Callum had his crash, actually. Is he going to go straight on? Not sure. Is he just locking up? Yeah, locks up, hits the rector cell. And to be fair, doesn't miss out on the place, actually. I was going to say, Matt Allen's still behind him. And that's because he was parked in pretty much the perfect position where Matt Allen couldn't get past. So where else are we looking here now? Dave Newsham and Matt Allen have had a crash. Dave Newsham's round, and that tree does not help the scenario. Coming out of Druids then, it looked like he was getting a little bit loose. Maybe that was what Matt Allen was trying to take advantage of into the final corner then. Is there contact? No, there isn't. Just a rotation from Dave. And that meant that Matt Allen could get round, but it also meant that Jeff Perkis and Freddie Hewitt got around as well. So Freddie, who actually caused that initial contact with Lee Horn on lap 1, down at the island hairpin, he's actually all the way up to sixth place, and that is just how many times these drivers have sort of fallen off the circuit, you could argue. Adam McNally's in a next-gen sandwich. Jochen Sigurd and Lee Horn are the two big pieces of bread in this little butty. Around the outside, tries to go Adam McNally. This is Lee Horn trying to defend him. Who's cleaner on the power? It looks like it might be Adam, actually. Around the outside of that hairpin is an absolute sensational move, I have to say. Especially if you can carry it all the way down to Knickerbocker. But looks of it, he will. Lee Horn's going to try and look up the inside. He's got a damaged front end of that Porsche 911. And Adam McNally takes the place. That'll be one worth the replay. I have to say, don't normally replay overtaking manoeuvres, but I am going to overtake that one. It's not that one, it's this one. So around the outside, you can see he was substantially behind Lee Horn, and they gave each other brilliant racing room. To be fair to Lee, he could have ran a little bit wider there and forced Adam off the circuit, but good respect from both of them. Callum Newsham and Matthew Addy. Here they go. Callum up the inside of Matthew. Oh, just about making it stick. Colin Martin's the driver as well, who's hoping to take advantage. Let's have a look. And not that one. See how he's going to get on. Is he going to go up the inside of the first corner as well? He's got a damaged front end, as well as basically everybody else on this field has. A little bit of a lock-up. Not sure who that was from. It might have been Matthew Addy. Tell you what, he's got a good run on him here, because Matthew obviously locked up. Going to go up the inside of Cascades. It's a brave move to do it. He doesn't just yet. He's tucked back in and goes through Cascades. He's going to look for another opportunity. So Dave Newsham, all of a sudden this battle is really heating up. Ollie Wayne has been overtaken by Jeff Perkins and Freddie Hewitt. Jamie Dorian, Matt Hodges, and David Ward are all sort of in blissful isolation at the moment. Not with COVID, luckily, with good race positions. And Ollie Wayne is in this battle because he's had a little bit of an off. I was wondering why he was so far back all of a sudden. He's going into the first corner. Does he touch the white line? No. Does he just miss the apex? A little bit. I think the back end was just a little bit too heavy. Maybe he took a bit too much speed in, tried to correct it with a dab of the brakes. Too much power. Not really sure on that one. But that does mean he's in the mix for this battle here. And it's a bit of a shame, really, because he was in a position for a good fourth place. Up the inside of Dave Newsham goes up the inside of Ollie Wayne now. So Wayne seems to be falling down the order. He's got Adam McNally for company as well into the first corner. Dave Newsham, late on the brakes, just knows what he's doing. All he needs to do is get alongside him. But to be fair to Ollie Wayne, he's carried the momentum around the outside. Jeff Perkis and Freddie Hewitt here. Jeff up the inside. Oh, there's contact between Dave and Ollie Wayne. Dave Newsham gets spun around yet again. And there's more contact. Matt Allen as well. And that is Jochen Sigurd goes, Thomas Delaney goes through. Oh my days, the Newsham drivers. Oh my, I can't keep up with that. I can't keep up with what's just happened. I think Dave was the driver who decided that he was going to slide through the gap. I could be wrong though. No, it was, let's have a look at Adam McNally's crash. So he comes around Cascades. What's happening here? He's going into our hairpin. This has completely nothing to do with any of this. With Ollie Wade. Oh, he just goes too loose. He's too late on the brakes. The back end steps onto the grass and he goes straight on. And through all the excitement, we've had a check and flag moment. Dave Ward has taken the check and flag. Apologies, I got completely taken aback. Matt Hodges is in second place. Jamie Dory comes across the line to seal out the top three. Apologies about that to the likes of Dave Ward and Matt Hodges. I'm sure you can understand watching the replay back that everything else just was so hectic. Jeff Perkis just finished ahead of Freddie Hewitt, 0.2 of a second, Ollie Wayne, and then Lee Horn. But the Newsham boys were so at it, shall we say, that it was difficult to actually keep up with what was going on there. I want to just have another quick look at the whole scenario, you know. Jochen Sigurd's crash this is. So Jochen is coming down, and this is with Matt Allen. This is right at the back of it. Matt just sticks his nose up where it doesn't belong, I think. Bit of a judgment call, that from me, I'd say, but I don't think that is Jochen's fault. And then, oh, yeah, well, okay. I mean, I will replay that. I think what we're about to see is some angry driving from the next gen driver. I'm sure he won't be too pleased about it in hindsight, but he does get turned round by Matt Allen, who's obviously had a very frustrating race himself. And as Jochen Sigurd gets going, he's about to have, I believe, Callum Newsham weed his way through. And yeah, he just seems to come back across. This is Dave Newsham's off with Ollie Waynes. I realised that wasn't the best angle for it. Oh, maybe a bit of a coming together. I think that's a difficult one to call either way. But all in all, the checkered flag was dropped. And it was David Ward who took it. And we'll be able to bring you the race results now. Hopefully. There we go. Dave Ward was the overall confirmed winner. Apologies I didn't see him across the line. You are seeing it in the background though at the moment. Matt Hodges was in second place after a fairly quiet race at the end of the day. Jamie Dory ended up in third place with Jeff Perkis in fourth. Freddie Hewitt in fifth. Ollie Wayne about hanging on to sixth place with Lee Horn in seventh. Adam McNally after that big coming together at the Island Hairpin kept hold of eighth thanks to the fact that there was a few crashes behind, let's face it. Thomas Delaney came home in ninth place. Dave Newsham in 10th. Callum Newsham in 11th. Matt Allen, maybe there's going to be a punishment coming his way, but there was a red mist coming over the likes of the driver in 14th place, but in between them was Matthew Addy. 14th was Jochen Sigurd. Colin Martin was in 15th with Sam Holman 16th, Michael Seal 17th, and Matt Emmons in 18th position, 7 laps down. Simon Clayton was 10 laps down, and so was Chris Knox. They didn't actually start the race at all. So, yeah, I think it was safe to say there was drama throughout. Really difficult, some of the incidents to say who was where, sort of thing, who maybe was at fault. Some of the incidents, maybe there was a little bit easier. But we'll be trying to have a little bit of a chat with a few of the drivers. Sorry, I'm just trying to look through some of the information on my screen. But we're going to have a quick break. I'm going to line up some driver interviews and also try and get into the next server. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Thank you very much. We're back, and we've got a few driver interviews lined up for you as well in this little intermission stage. But first is our race winner, David Ward. Congratulations, David. That was a commanding race victory, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, it was. I was a bit concerned when Matt got ahead of me at the start, but after that, after he made the mistake out of turn one, looked like he just got on the gas a bit too early. After that, it was just a case of managing that gap. I knew I had the race pace, so yeah, it was really good. And I'm gonna do some shout outs now, by the way.
Go for it.
Big shout out to the Fast R boys and girls, and the Fast R esport team, and all of the team guys on there. They've been instrumental in like getting this victory today. Lots of hard work this week.
Good stuff. I'll tell you what, we'll drag in a few of the other Fast R teammates on that note as well. I'll bring Freddie Hewitt in, and is Sam... It's gone out of my mind. It's Sam Holman.
Sam, Freddie, Sam, Michael.
I can't find Michael at the moment, but you're all here now. Say hello, everybody, because you're on the broadcast. Hello. Well done, Fast R lads. You must be pleased.
Sam, do you want to go first?
Not with my final position, no. But
well, no, I was going to say Sam, maybe not.
after an initial bump and a couple of laps, I actually got consistently my best lap times since practicing. So I was in on the laps I didn't mess up. I was in the consistent 22s, which for me is pretty good. Got a couple of low 23s as well. So pleased with the personal progress. So hopefully I can try and keep it in the out of the wall even for the feature race.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? I mean, 45 minutes is a long time to ask for around here, especially. But I'm sure if you've been lapping consistently some of your best times, then that is potentially there. And I think you're just a word on your other teammate as well, Michael Seal. He actually went flying, didn't he? In the end, have you chatted to him? What's happened to Michael?
He's not very happy, is he?
He wasn't. That's maybe why he didn't come on the Discord. But yeah, he's had some really good pace, and then unfortunately, I think he just got a little bit unlucky and caught up in some other accidents. But he's been doing really well the last couple of days. We've done some testing, and he's definitely one to watch out for. Same as Freddie and Sam as well. Yeah, good progress.
Yeah, and Freddie, I know you're obviously a real life driver, aren't you? You race with the Fast Star backing in real life, I believe, and you must be sort of. Were you a sim racer before and then a real life racer, or the other way around, or sort of has it just ever since you were young you've sort of done a bit of both?
I've always loved cars, always been into motorsport, and I got on sim racing first on just Forza.
So did I.
Stayed on that. Yeah, and stayed on that for about 5 years. Met some really good people on there, and then COVID happened, and Faster came to me and said, would you like to do the PowerMax E-Series on for next gen? And I said, yeah, let's do it. What do I need? In about 5 days I had a complete different setup.
Wow.
And then it was all about sort of that. And then David sort of found out that I was actually pretty sketchy or rubbish, and was like, do you wanna like sort of just work together, and we'll show you how to work the sort of sim. And well, we've been friends ever since, and since then really we've just sort of brought new people along and started doing new series, which has been really good.
Awesome. Yeah. No, well, one last question, because I know we've taken up a lot of your time. Obviously, the next session is going to be in. I want to have a chat with one or two other drivers, but tell us a little bit about the Fast Star and Cheetah Motorsports sort of collaboration, because obviously there's been some big movement. I've seen your social media sort of stepped up, hasn't it, as well? You've been practicing for this. What are the plans going forward? With that in mind.
The plan really on the esports side of things is to just expand with. Last year was really a sort of a getting to know everything sort of year with the sort of esports side of things. So this year is really sort of to push on forwards and compete in some of the bigger races that are going ahead, and some of the bigger series. Like we've really enjoyed these Porsches, and we'll probably look for another Porsche series after this if next gen don't keep one on, or if they do, we'll be back for more. But yeah, just sort of expand and and give people a bit more insight on what esports is about and how to get into it, because we still run the esports side of things on Forza, which is just an Xbox Forza Motorsport 7 and a controller. But yeah, it's just really expanding that and letting people know that it's here, and it's people can do it for cheaper than motorsport.
Well, I mean, the Fastar platform is I don't know if I'm ever saying that right. Is it Faster or Fastar?
Either way.
Yeah, I'll keep saying Fastar then. But it's a great platform, isn't it?
Fastar, yeah. It's a perfect platform, and it's a great name to hold above your head, really. So, yeah, it's great work. Working for them and doing stuff for them.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I'll let you guys go off to the next session. I'm going to go bring in Dave Newsham after this. So thank you very much for jumping in, guys. We'll maybe have a chat with you next week, because it's been lovely to have a chat with you. And I've got plenty more questions, believe me. But we're going to have a chat with Dave now. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers.
And that was the Fast R boys, who are hopefully jumping out the Discord, because I can't do it quick enough to bring them in. And I'll try and bring in Dave Newsham. Is it Dave or Callum I'm speaking to? Because there's no distinction on here.
It's Dave.
It's Dave. Nice to speak to you, Dave. Sort of finally, I guess. That race was a bit hit and miss. We'll start with the race, and then we'll obviously chat a little bit more about general life and racing and stuff like that. But it was sort of up and down for you, let's say.
Yeah, I got into second place, and I was looking to try and bridge the gap to David, and Adam just snatched a break and bumped into the back of me, and that's all it takes, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's a bit different than real life racing, isn't it? With the feel of the car and everything like that. It's different. I think I don't know. We had Adam in the interview waiting room. He jumped out since, but he's been on the comments and said that he's sort of gutted that he pushed you off. So I do think he feels sorry for you for it.
Yeah, I think he came in just to apologise in person to me.
Oh right. Oh, he's done that. Oh, that's good. I was going to say Adam is a nice guy. I'm sure he didn't do it on purpose.
No, I've done some racing with him on here before, and he's a good, clean driver. It's just one of these things. It's so bumpy, the track, and the hairpin's difficult to break there at the best of times, and he was close to the back of me. So it's easy done. It's easy done, and I only know too well in these cars. They're so difficult to drive.
They are. They're on a knife edge pretty much constantly, aren't they? But talk a little bit about between the sort of the similarities or differences or anything, comparisons between the sim world and the real life world. Because obviously you are, it's probably fair to say, a much more experienced real life racer than you will be a sim racer. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Also, I was going to say, I didn't know how long you were doing sim racing, but you've been doing real life racing for a long time. What jumped you into sim racing then? Was it lockdown? Was it something you were looking at before? Was it Callum? What was the story?
I bought a sim 2017. I actually got it through my team at the time, Norlin, the BTCC team. And I got it through them, and we got it to do some development on the car and what have you. And one thing or another, budget and what have you, I didn't secure the drive for 2018. The plan was always to get Callum into car racing. He was doing a bit of karting at the time. So I got the sim purely for developing in touring cars. But it's here, and I'm still out racing, which is great stuff.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, does Callum have the same setup? Because obviously you're racing against each other. Does he have a better one? Who's winning on the bragging right? Who gets the good sim when it comes to racing?
I've got the good sim. I'm afraid. Callum lives down in Southampton now. He's moved in with his girlfriend in Southampton.
Oh, really?
So he couldn't be further away from me. He's like 600 miles away.
Oh, right, okay. Fair enough.
It is great to get out here once a week and do a bit of racing with him.
I was going to say, it keeps that connection, I suppose. I was imagining it, quite fun imagining as well, like you two basically sitting in opposite rooms whenever you were closing the racing next to each other, and there was a big crash. Maybe some shouting or swearing through the doors, but 600 miles is quite a way.
You can't hear me from there.
No, absolutely not. But I think I don't know if you've watched the broadcast back or anything over the past couple of weeks, but Brands Hatch, I've mentioned quite a lot. It wasn't your finest moment. I don't think you struggled a little bit with Brands Hatch, but since then you've come on leaps and bounds, haven't you? Your consistency and race pace has really skyrocketed. Is that something have you been practicing quite hard, or is that just maybe Brands was a bit of an off moment?
No, Brands. It was pretty much the first time I'd driven these cars. So,
well, yeah, that's
it
gonna be
was
difficult.
it was a massive eye opener.
Yeah.
So and I don't do it. I just haven't got time to do a lot of practice, to be honest. So I do the Wednesdays. I put a server together on Sunday for us guys as well, because Callum wanted to do a bit more testing. But yeah, other than like a couple of times a week, that's about it. And then we jump into this and we do some racing. So
well, it's all about having fun, isn't it? At the end of the day,
it is. It really is good fun, and you get to the stage where you're really looking forward to the race meeting. So it's great. But yeah, it is a different beast altogether to real racing. You've got nothing coming through your backside for a start.
No, I find that a struggle.
And,
I mean, I grew up on sort of racing games and then jumped into cars or karting or something. And I very much struggle with having raced in Ginettas. I very much struggle now to jump in a sim and do anything resembling a quick time. Just because that sensation of feeling the tyres and basically driving through your arse, it's just not there, is it? It's completely different.
No, and on some cars you can get away with it. Maybe if it's the car understeers, you can get away with it, and you can be pretty quick straight away with them. But with this car, it breaks away, and if you don't catch it, and obviously you're not feeling anything through your backside, so you've just got to visually and feel a little bit through the steering wheel that it's breaking away. But by the time you've felt and seen that, you can be too far, and it's too far to catch it. So that's why you've almost got to drive this car at 90%, and I just can't do that. 100%, man.
Yeah, you've been programmed all your life to get out there in a car and use the maximum amount of grip that your tyres will allow you, and all of a sudden you don't know how much grip you have. I have to say before we go, Dave, is there anybody who'd like to give a quick shout out, because you've got a whole host of fans coming in the chat right now. So is there anybody who'd like to give a quick shout out to, maybe special mentions?
Well, I've got a team of fans called Newsham Nutters. And,
I've seen that.
They've followed me since Clio days, I guess.
Wow.
I've got a real hardcore of real good fans, but they're also very good friends as well. And now they're following Callum as much as they followed me in racing. So yeah, shout out to all those guys. It's good to have them still tuning in, and they enjoy it. They enjoy watching this as well, although maybe not me spinning every time I jump in the car and putting the wrong way.
Well, as I said, you are getting an awful lot better, Dave. I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Well, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm quick over a single lap. It's the race pace, and I tend to just push a little bit too hard, and next thing you know, I'm off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's easily done, isn't it?
There you go. It is, yeah.
But we'll let you jump off, Dave, because I think either the next session will be up or it's going to be soon up, and we'll let you jump into that. It's been lovely to chat to you. If you're around next week as well, and you can jump on by all means.
Yeah, we'll do.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Dave. I'll dump you back in the other server.
All right. Cheers, mate. Bye.
That was Dave Newsham. Wow. It's always lovely to chat with a real-life racing driver as well about the sim world and what they're up to and everything like that. And obviously, I don't have the time to go fully in depth with it all, but I'm going to jump to a quick pause because we have the next session coming up and I don't want to miss it. They're probably halfway through qualifying by now. We've taken that long, although I hope not, because obviously Dave's been chatting to us. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. wouldn't you know it, we've arrived just in time. A wizard never is, never early or late. He always arrives directly when he means to. We are into qualifying by the looks of it, and it's only 1 minute in, so we haven't even missed any lap times. Absolutely cracking. So, I'll tell you what, I'm quite proud of that, to be honest. The session was up for about 10 minutes before while we were chatting. But, you know, each to their own. We enjoyed having a chat to the Fast R crew and Dave Newsham as well. And as I said, there's many things that I would like to have a chat to, both sets of interviews sort of thing. One of which obviously is Dave about the what maybe he's got planned for car racing, if there's any budget or any sort of plans that he's got, or even Callum's racing as well, in the real life sort of motorsport world. And also the likes of the Fast R crew, what their plans are maybe specifically, and how it came about that the Cheetah and Fast R crew sort of decided to join together and stuff like that. But if you don't remember, David Ward ended up winning the first race. It was only about 15 minutes ago, so if you just tuned in, I can understand. If you didn't, then you know, I don't know what you've been watching. But before they start up, let's have a look and remind ourselves that this is the Porsche PMR Cup, round 7 here at Oulton Park. I believe Dave Ward would probably have pipped Matt Allen in the driver's standings currently. But it's pretty much neck and neck, put it that way. Powered by Next Gen, and of course, we are in Oulton Park, the city of Little Budworth. I can tell you from living about 3 miles away from Oulton Park, Little Budworth is definitely not a city. It's got a church, maybe a post office, and half a pub, I think. It has got 2 pubs, actually. It's got 2 pubs. They do a cracking pizza in one of them, and a semi-decent pub quiz in another one. But yes, that is where we are. Track length of 3.5 kilometres. Using the island hairpin as we saw in race number 1. We are in the second qualifying of the 2. Race 1 had a qualifying session, then obviously a 15-minute race. This is now a 15-minute qualifying session, followed by a 45-minute race. And I always know it's Friday night because my voice starts to go hoarse. I've done so much commentating over the past 4 or 5 days, 7 days really, that we get to the solo broadcast on a Friday night, and my voice is already going a little bit. We've got 45 minutes, well, we've got an hour to go, really, if you consider that we've got qualifying and then the 45-minute feature race. I think it's going to be slightly difficult, the feature race, for plenty of these drivers. They'll have to go in with a little bit of a different mindset, considering that the first race there's a little bit of crashing, a little bit of driving standards, potentially, getting a bit hit and miss. But the likes of the 45-minute race, you really have to make sure that you are sort of keeping it cleaner, you're just keeping it consistent, and you make sure that you're sort of not ruining anybody else's day as well, because it's a very easy way of picking up penalties and ruining your day. Dave Ward has put in a flying lap, and when I say a flying lap, it's actually a pretty decent lap, a 1:20.9. I'm sure it'll end up getting beaten. We're on board with them here. Jamie Doyle's gone a little bit quicker. Matt Allen's gone a little bit quicker on this lap, potentially. As Dave Ward is rounding out the final corner, we may well go on board with him for a lap, and I may quickly go and grab myself a quick drink. But as Dave Ward comes across the lap, he's actually 2/10 down on his original lap time. Colin Martin's in 3rd place. Matt Hodges, in 4th. He actually qualified really well and then ended up with the race. It wasn't so great for him. Lee Horn, Callum Newsham, Matt Evans and Dave Newsham are yet to set a lap time. I hope Dave Newsham managed to get into the session and wasn't caught talking to me for too long, although it was lovely to chat with him. He's the only driver who's currently in the pits, apart from Jeff Perkins, who's just spawned himself back there, thanks to the fact that he had a little bit of an off. This is Jochen Sigert. In fact, no, it's not. It's Matt Allen going through Cascade. Adam McNally as well, just ahead of him. Callum Newsham's put himself into 2nd place, 1:21.1. And in fact, let's go on board with Callum Newsham. I'm going to quickly run and grab a quick drink, so I'll leave you on board in the capable hands of the other Newsham, who seems to have improved just as much as Dave, to be fair, and see where he ends up putting the car on the timing tower. Ooh, a little bit wide there. We're back in a sec. Sorry about that. Callum Newsham seems to be in third place, though. 0.04 of a second behind Adam McNally, who's pulled some pace out the bag. Dave Ward is still on pole position with that 120.9. That was actually his last lap, I believe. So that 120.9 at the moment, as you said, seems to be looking good for David Ward. Let's have a look a little bit further. As I said, Callum, a little bit of a skid on there. Colin Martin in 4th place, doing a really good job. 0.2 of a second behind. Jamie Dory, 600ths of a second behind. Matt Hodges, 600 of a second. And then Ollie Wayne, who's coming in the pits, 9,000ths of a second. I tell you what, have a look at how close all that is. Let's see if we can bring up the gap. That's the overall gap on the left-hand side of your timing tower, the sort of white numbers, with the top 11 separated by a second. But if you look down the order, the likes of Adam McNally to Callum Newsham is razor thin. Jamie Dory, Colin Martin, razor thin, and Matt Hodges, Ollie Wayne as well. So David Ward still sort of topping the tower and being the sort of class of the field. Matt Allen in 4th place, not quite able to catch up yet. Although I'll tell you what, Dave Newsham's just slotted himself right in the middle between Matt Allen and Callum Newsham. So he's now got out into the pits. He's now out in the pits, Dave Newsham, and setting some quick times. 0.017 between himself and Callum, and also himself and Matt Allen. Wow. Big up the Newsham Nutters. Also, thank you very much, Tim Perry, who has given a follow. Fraser Rostons, who's come in with the like as well. And everybody who's been getting involved on the YouTube chat or Facebook chat or wherever you've been getting on. Really enjoying watching this as part of the best circuit in the country, says Cara the Van. Big up the Fast R gang, Henry Church. Team Cheetah is Fred's karting team, apparently, which he carried on to cars and e-racing. His sisters Chloe race in a Zebra Mini, and they're both Marshall Tarmac rallies at the Zoo Crew and navigate in them too. Awesome. Chocolate Cossie, thank you very much for the info. I know, but I'm part of the Fast Art Esports and have known Freddie for quite a while, just too busy to race at the moment, says Henry. Like, loving the fact that everybody's getting involved and on the chat and sort of giving a shout out to their favourite drivers as well on the YouTube. Awesome to have everyone along for the ride. I just realised Dave Newsham's actually put himself up into 2nd place now. We're only a 10th behind Dave Ward. No one else is yet to crack the 20s apart from Dave Ward. Yeah, I was going to say Dave Newsham, Dave Ward. But he is out of the pits. Sorry, he's in the pits now. So I don't think Dave Ward himself even thinks that he's going to crack any better. Is he coming out? Oh no, he's coming out the pits. Sorry, my mistake. Callum Newsham goes 3rd, 0.002 of a second behind his old man. I'm sure Dave won't be too pleased about me saying that, but they live 600 miles apart. It's not quite the image that I had in my head, that they would be racing either side by side or in opposite rooms. That'd be really quite good fun, though, wouldn't it? But he is in 3rd place. As I said, 0.002 of a second behind his dad. I'm sure when he sees the lines, he won't be very happy about that. Hello, pole sitter. Just said the only person to crack the 20s is Dave Ward. Matt Allen says, you know what? Thank you very much. I'll take that. Thank you. 0.03 of a second quicker than Matt Allen is Matt Allen away from Dave Ward now. What can Dave do to better it? He's on his outlap at the moment. He's only got a couple of minutes to try and beat it. Remember, this is a 45-minute session, so anything can happen. Well, no, qualifying isn't a 45-minute session. The race is going to be 45 minutes. All of a sudden, these are some cracking times. And drivers just not quite, they're putting in brilliant times, but they're not quite close. If you look at the difference between Colin Martin at 121.4 and Michael Seal 121.6, there are 6 drivers between them. 6 drivers between them, all in that sort of minute amount of space. In fact, Matt Hodges just put himself back up to 7th place, dispossessing Colin Martin and a whole host of other drivers as well. So this is Matt Emmons. A 125.4 is his best so far, and that's going to be another off track, I believe. David Ward's come into the pits, so he doesn't think he can do any better potentially. Not going to be back out, I don't think. What can Dave muster up? Oh, there's a driver sideways across the circuit there. That's the number 18 of Thomas Delaney. He was in a green car before. So as Dave comes down the final corner, what's he got in store for us? A driver on the right-hand side of the road. There's every drivers just, cars just like carcasses on the side of the road at the moment. It's nasty to see. It's a 132, so clearly Dave's had a bit of an off somewhere. Or a slowdown somewhere. How's Freddie Hewitt doing in the fast R cars then? He's currently rotating around Druids. Before he tries to put in his one of his final times. He's only got 40 seconds left. Comes through the final corner. Down the dip. Back up. And he's going to come across the line. Doesn't look like he's going to be any faster. And it is not faster. But he will have time to put one more lap in. Let's see what he can muster up. Adam McNally's in the pits. So is Dave Ward, Michael Seal, Jeff Perkins, Matt Hodges. They're all in the pits. Matt Emmons as well. No, none of those drivers are coming back out to try and set another fast lap. I don't think anybody's looking like they're going any quicker just yet. No, I don't think anybody is going quicker, and the checker flag has dropped now as Freddie Hewitt is still... Oh, he gets loose out of Druid, so even if he was going a little bit quicker, which he did just green a sector, it's not going to be any good for him now. Ollie Wayne going to come across the line in the RAF car. He's going to be the last person to cross the line fully, I think. And it's not an improvement for him either. And as Freddie comes into the pit lane, let's have a look at the results when we can get them. And the grid going into the second race of the evening. So it was, there we go, Matt Allen in first place, out qualifying Dave Ward this time by 0.03 of a second. Remember that was reversed in race 1 by 1,000th. Dave Newsham out qualifies Callum on the second row. Adam McNally and Freddie Hewitt take up the third with Matt Hodges in 7th, Colin Martin in 8th, Jamie Dory 9th, Michael Seal in 10th, Jeff Perkins in 11th, and Ollie Wayne in 12th place. 13th is Lee Horn, Jochen Siggett in 14th, Tom Delaney in 15th, Sam Holman 16th, Matthew Addy in 17th, Matt Emmons all the way down in 18th place, unfortunately. So as we wait for a couple of the drivers to join up, the likes of Dave Newsham, Michael Seal and Thomas Delaney all waiting for them. Going to be an interesting 45 minutes this, mainly for the fact that making sure people actually stay on the circuit is going to be one of the most interesting things that we got to look forward to as well, because obviously we've seen in race 1 that it's a difficult proposition to even stay on the circuit for 15 minutes, let alone 45, and they don't call it the mini Nurburgring for nothing. Even Dave Newsham sort of mentioned it. It's a bumpy circuit, and it's one that really can catch you out so easily. Just if you hit the brakes right at the wrong time, you can lock up, snatch a brake, squirrel the rear end. It can be very dangerous indeed. And as we see, one of the fast star cars, I think that's Freddie Hewitt, flashing the lights. We're just waiting for Thomas Delaney all the way down to 15th place spawn in and we can get going for the second time this evening. The Newsham Nutters yet again giving it large on the stream, and you'll love to see it. We'll hit the 2-minute mark, so here we go. The rights are on, whether Thomas Delaney's joined or not, which he has. The legend notes will rise, and for a second time on a Friday night, we have racing here at Oulton Park, and it's a good start by Dave Ward. Matt Allen trying to get up the inside, though. Hello, says Dave Newsham. I'll go all the way around the outside of everyone. Dave Newsham into the lead of the race. The fast R cars go side by side. The Misty Racing had nowhere to go. And I think that was Callum Newsham as well. Just about got through, but it was going to be dangerous. Here is Callum's perspective as he goes down into the Cascades with Matt Allen, in front of him. He jumps to the outside into the Highland Hairpin. It's Matt Hodges just ahead. Misty Racing, he's trying to go all the way around the outside, the long way round, the hard way round. Clean on the power comes Callum, and actually it made it look like a really good move. We commended Adam McNally for doing that exact move in the last race. We've got to commend it as Callum does it into this one. Matt Hodges, though, is going slightly defensive, but not as defensive as Callum here, going from Matt Allen. So Matt, he qualified on pole position. He's all the way down in 6th place. But the leader of the race is Dave Newsham. I'm sure that'll please a hell of a lot of people watching. Dave Ward in 2nd with Adam McNally in 3rd. Up 2 places, Adam McNally. Matthew Hodges is up 3 positions. So qualifying clearly not going his way, but the race seems to be going slightly better. Freddie Hewitt has lost 12. We'll try and find out what's happened to him. He's in 18th place. Jeff Perkins, Ollie Wayne as well. They've lost a whole host of positions. And Matthew Addy, he started in 17th. He's still in 17th, but he's had people crashing around him. So I'm not sure what's happened there. As all the drivers, remember they're in a 45-minute race now. They have to calm down somewhat, even though they want track position. They have to make sure that they are actually getting around this circuit. So let's have a look where Freddie Hewitt's time started to go wrong. Yeah, he was the fast R car on the outside of the first corner. Does he get collected by anyone? Oh, yes, not intentionally. I think that was Lee Horn who ended up collecting him. It's just gutting that is. I don't think Lee meant it at all. He's going around the outside, and because he sees the commotion ahead of him, he goes off the track, tries to just get some power on the through the rear wheels as he's off the track, and he spearheads into Freddie. Matthew Eddy, as I said, had a bit of an off. This is coming down to the Island Hairpin. Does he snatch a break? What's happening here? He goes to the outside. Oh, yes, he does. And goes straight on, and actually, everybody's very lucky they didn't get collected. Thomas Delaney's had an off. Just ahead of the fast R car here, going into the Island Hairpin. Does he over-rotate the car? Yes, I would expect to see that quite a lot during this race, especially come the end of it. Here is a 3-way battle for the race lead with Dave Ward at the top of it at the moment. Matt Allen is in 5th. He's been promoted by overtaking. I can't see who was in this fight and who is no longer in this fight. So I'll keep an eye on that. So I may have missed someone out here. But at the moment, Dave Newsham leads from Dave Ward, followed by Adam McNally, Callum Newsham, and then Matt Allen all the way down in 5th place. Thank you very much to Anthony Carr for the share, and also Alex Everett for the like. Oh, hello, Alex. Nice to have you along again. So as these three start the battle, which will probably rage for most of this race, we can sort of sit back and start to appreciate the Oulton Park circuit and how demanding it is. In fact, no, hold that thought. Because Callum Newsham had a little bit of a squirrely moment coming out of Druids, and that's given Matt Hodgins the opportunity to fly up the inside into the final corner. He's going to go for the cutback, is Callum. And he gets a good drive out the corner, to be fair. I think Matt sent a little bit too much speed through. How is he going to come out the end of it, though, into the first corner? It's a difficult one to carry the speed around the outside. And it looks like Callum keeps that position. And tell you what, Jamie Dory's sniffing around, thinking, hello, I'll have a little bit of a look at this. Around the outside of Cascades is always going to be a difficult one, though. Not necessarily something you want to try. But he gets a good run out of Cascades, and Matt Hodges going for the defensive move into the hairpin. Jamie Dory trying to outbrake him. Callum getting a little bit of a lock-up, and Matt is going to turn around. Will he get collected by anybody else? He sat right on the apex. Last place you want to see, I think, a couple of drivers. Oh, he's spinning back around right at the correct gap there. So let's have a look to see what happened. Matt Evans has had a crash, and then we'll have a look at... Matt Evans was in the pits. I don't feel like he's going to thank me for showing this. Is this crash iRacing? Because this is just coming out of the pits. I think that classified as a crash. Unfortunately, Matt, that classifies as a crash. This is Matthew Hodges. Is there a touch by Jamie Dory? No, just no rotation. Took a little bit too much speed into the corner. That's gutting for him. So this is the three-way battle at the front of the race at the moment still. Tim Johnson, thank you very much for the follow. Martin Brinkworth, thank you for the like. Darren Stevenson, thank you for the like. There are 3 things happening all in about a minute. Awesome. I'm very appreciative of all of that sort of thing as well. We've had a couple of crashes off in the background. Thomas Delaney and Matthew Addy going a couple of off tracks. And Matt Allen has now thrown his hat into the mix, I would say, of this top step of the podium battle. Because he is only a couple of tenths behind. And he's obviously a little bit quicker than the guys ahead of them as they fight. This is 45 minutes heating up to be really a cracking little battle we've got going on. I thought Bathurst was entertaining. This is going to be even better. Tell you what, we have even more people. Alex Thompson, thank you very much for the follow. People flying in with the follows left, right and centre. And another like from Maura Scott. Oh, I tell you what, this is a absolutely bouncing chat tonight. Lovely to have everyone along. Brilliant that you can enjoy some escapism from what is basically a miserable time in the world. Dave Wardo in second place. I don't know whether he was defending there or trying to fill the rear view mirrors of Dave Newsham. Don't know, whatever it's caused though, whatever the intention, sorry. The cause is the fact that Adam McNally is now all over the back of him because he's, I say all over the back of him. He is all over the back of him, but Dave Newsham's only got about an extra tenth of a second away from Dave Ward, and these guys are very used to racing. Adam McNally is a very experienced racer. He may have snatched a break into the back of Dave Newsham in the last race. That doesn't mean that he doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to endurance racing in any form. He's a very accomplished MX-5 driver, is Adam McNally. I've seen him race them a whole host of times, but he's also been in the PMR E-Series that I covered. He was in a TCR car there, an Audi RS3 TCR car. Very, very different machine to this, and a very, very different machine to the MX-5s as well. He's a dab of all hands, shall we say. Colin Martin's had a spin. Going into Knickerbrook by the looks of it. Does he take the Rector cell? No, but he does get too happy on the power. Very dangerous spin. Oh, jeez, my days. Is that Freddie Hewitt? I fear that may well have been Freddie Hewitt. He's coming back round, and he cannot catch a break, Freddie, at the moment. He did decently in the first. Did decent in the first race, but it wasn't up to what he wanted, and his second race has gone from bad to worse. Matthew Addy and Jamie Dory have had a crash, so I don't know if this was together, but Jamie Dory has had a bit of a spin as well. Remember, this is a 45-minute race. They've got a long time after this. Oh, coming out of Knickerbrook chicane, just has a little bit of an off. Does he collect anyone? Is this how Matthew Addy has a crash? Lights the rear wheels up, tries to get going again, and doesn't look like Matthew is anywhere near him. In fact, let's have a look how Matthew had a bit of a crash. He had 2 apparently. So this is the first one. Island hairpin. Yeah, too happy on the power, too early, and then drives into Thomas Delaney, and then has his other crash officially as he went back onto the grass. This battle is still heating up, but this time it's no, exactly the same, to be fair. It is as it was. So these guys not yet trading blows with each other. We're almost a quarter of the way into this race, and it's disappeared out of nowhere. Considering this is classified as the endurance event, it's really sort of got a sprint feel about it. Absolutely awesome. Oh, Dave Ward, every single time they go into the final corner, it is one of the best overtaking opportunities on the track. No single corner. It's a lot like Brands Hatch, this place. No single corner is really the same as any other corner in any other circuit in the world. It's thanks to the fact that it wasn't made on an airfield, and it sort of it goes with the terrain rather than against the terrain. It doesn't try and carve through the hills. It sort of goes with them, and it's like Dave said in the interview, it's plenty of bumps, and that can lead to plenty of bruises as well, as we've seen in the first race and indeed in the second race. Dave Ward, I think that was a slightly defensive look to the inside of the circuit against Adam McNally more than it was a attack on Dave Newsham. This is the problem. Dave Ward right now is in the hardest position you can be in racing, really. He's right in the middle of a very, very close three-way battle. He may think he's slightly quicker than the driver ahead. However, he knows that the driver behind is so equally fast. Now, if he makes a move and it doesn't quite come off, or it takes him more than one corner, one braking zone to pull off, the driver behind Adam McNally will take that and run with it. He will take that and the fact that you've gone offline, you've lost momentum, and he'll run with it. He'll go straight up the inside of you. And quite a lot of the time, you can actually see the second place man so keen to get past the first place man, he actually ends up hitting him, and the third place man actually comes round, takes the lead of the race. The second place man who caused the contact actually stays in second because he's turned the first place man round, and they end up in third. It wouldn't be quite the same here, because actually they've got Matt Allen breathing on their heels, but he's not as close as he might like. Do remember, though, that he's probably playing the long game. Oh, we've had a couple of crashes. Lee Horn is one of them, going into Knickerbrook. Oh, he touched the outside there because he was turning right. He went too far onto the left-hand side, opening the circuit up, and just like that, you can lose a handful of places. I believe he lost about 5 or 6 there. Matt Evans had another crash, unfortunately. Coming out of Cascades, what's going to happen here? He's going to go into the island hairpin. Oh, that's a very odd crash. I think I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and said he was just going for the early apex. A very, very early apex. Callum Newsham out of Druids, going into the final corner. You can see the 3 of them battle ahead of him. Callum's at the moment. He was in 5th place. This is before he had his speed. Oh, loads of speed taken into the final corner. That's actually why he's down into 7th place now. It let Jamie Doyle and Michael Seal pass. Seal, who's having a better time of it so far. So yeah, again, back to this race, and I think this is probably going to be where most of our attention is for the majority of this evening's. Jochen Siggert and Matt Hodges are having a little close battle. Lee Horn and Jeff Perkins as well. But I don't think anybody can begrudge the fact that we're going to have to keep an eye on these guys, because they are hammer and tongs and the titans of this field at the moment in this race, specifically around Oulton Park. So Adam McNally has now just dropped off the back of David Ward by another car length, or a full car length now, which means that David has actually sort of opened himself up to the opportunity to attack without too much worry against the driver ahead and Dave Newsham. Now that won't last too long, because Adam McNally will close really quite quickly back up as if Dave doesn't get this move done on first place. And that's why he's looking all the way up to the inside now. He's not anywhere near close enough, though. He needs to get close enough. He needs to get the move done, because as soon as Adam's back on the back of him, he'll have the problem that we were talking about before, being that sort of middle of the sandwich. It's really the issue. As soon as you get a little bit of gap, you really need to take advantage and force the issue more than anything. It's what makes the likes of Ash Sutton such a great champion. He doesn't really take more than 2 corners to get past anyone. And a lot of people jump out of his way in a few situations, but a lot of others sort of don't have any choice. He just forces his way up the inside, sees he's got the advantage against the cars behind, and forces his way. Oh, and Adam McNally locks up a little bit into the island hairpin, just like he did up at the backside of Dave Newsham, and that's let Matt Allen through on the inside. Now Dave Ward has actually got more than what he thought of a gap now between himself and the third place man, so he's going to have to try and put the pressure on as much as possible. But Matt Allen has slotted his way back up to third place. The man who started on pole won't be very happy with third still, especially in the way that he lost the lead of the race just by a poor start off the line. And then he got boxed in by the Fast R crew, which was Freddie Hewitt on the outside of him, who, by the way, I think is still in the pits. He's only completed 3 laps. We're nearly on to lap 11 now. So Adam McNally into the back of the Misty Racing driver. Not quite the room so far, though, but this is letting Dave Ward have a proper look at the inside of Dave Newsham now, and he's crawling all over the back of him, trying to fill as much of his rearview mirrors as possible. Tell you what, it's impossible to tell which battle to have a look at here. Tell you what, let's have a look at a bit of a further away. That's not further away. That's a bit of a further away perspective, isn't it? Let's have a look and see. Dave Ward, who didn't get Cascades very well hooked up at all, that's given Dave Newsham maybe a lap, maybe, as Matt Allen now hunkers up to the backside of Dave Ward. Oh, Adam McNally's got a good run out here, has he? Over the crest of the hill. They seem all a little bit more equal. Going down to Cascades then, and you can probably say they're pretty much all packed back together with Dave Ward now back on the back of Dave Newsham. And the problem is you don't want to take your eyes away from this little battle to have a look at anything else, because you know that something will happen as soon as you look away. And by the looks of it, Dave Ward is trying to force the issue now. Through Druid, Misty Racing job, Matt Allen as well, hunkered right up behind. Adam McNally hunkered up right behind as well. He goes onto the grass as they're coming into the final corner. Adam McNally having to switch back to the racing line thanks to the fact that Matt Allen defended hard. Dave Newsham, yet again, just getting a bit of respite for approximately half a lap until he's right back under pressure again. 15 minutes in, we're a third of the way through this race. Cara the Van is a Dave Newsham fan, and yes, I did mean to rhyme that. And he's, they're definitely saying, get a hurry on Newsham. I will have a quick look at where Callum Newsham is. He's still in 7th place, but he's fighting hard with Jamie Dory. So Jamie Dory and Callum Newsham are having a good old ding dong in the background here. 7th place going into Island Hairpin. Let's see what happens here. Jamie going in defensive for what doesn't seem like an overly necessary. It wasn't going to be a move made by Callum. And it may give Callum the opportunity to get a good run. Jamie goes very defensive, very aggressively. Callum having to go around the outside. It's never really going to work through Cascades. You see it once in a lifetime, probably, that move happen. As Callum now tucks in behind. It's not a problem with Oulton Park, but you have to do the spectacular to get past. It's quite easy to defend, which is why we're seeing the top 4 drive so closely, but not actually really being able to make any moves on each other. Jochen Siggert, though, is in the middle of a right good fight as well for this sort of mid-pack now. This is Ollie Waynes ahead of him. Sam Holman in the Fast R car just ahead of him, having a bit of a better race than he did last time. And Matt Hodgins just behind. Matthew Addy's had a few more crashes and entered the pit lane. Matt Emmons and Freddie Hewitt are also drivers that are a couple of laps down. Oh, we've had a change from Matt Allen and Adam McNally. Where on earth is Adam McNally? He's gone straight on to the Island Hairpin. Let's see if we can find a replay of that. So going into the Island Hairpin, is this just another snatch of the break? It is, I think. He outbrakes himself. He has to take evasive action and go straight on at the Island Hairpin. And he's all the way down in... I'll say all the way down. He's in 5th position now. And with Michael Seal just ahead of him in the Fast R car. Again, they did say that Michael was getting a little bit quicker. He didn't come in for a chat, and they said he was a little bit annoyed at how the previous race went. I'm sure he'll be a little bit more pleased with how this race is going. But that has left David Ward and Matt Allen and Dave Newsham to fight for the race lead. So 4 become 3 as we're going into the second, or towards the second half of this race. Sam Holman's had an off in the other Fast R car. Coming over the hill, trying to chase Ollie Wayne down. Is he outbraking himself? Does he carry too much speed? Too much speed into the first apex. wasn't able to get it slowed down. It's more important that you go slow in, fast out of the Nurburgring. In fact, it's vital because you have to get your car all the way back up the hill as fast as you can, and that's a lot more important, a lot more invasive to the power unit and the weight of the car and everything like that than it is going in. You'll gain more time at the end going into Druids basically than you will if you try and go in there a couple of miles an hour quicker, which is why you see a lot of drivers sort of take it really controlled through the right, controlled through the left, as you're seeing here, and wait for your power as early on the power as you possibly can without running too wide. It's a right stickler for track limits there, and that's why you see a lot of people spinning off as well, lighting the rear tyres and having an off moment out of Druids. Callum Newton around the outside of Jamie Doy again. This time he's actually going to try it. And is he going to make it stick as well? Jamie Doy has a little bit of a glance on the grass. And that may well have just... I tell you what, we're going to have to watch that one again. Round the outside of the first apex. Jamie Doy gives him plenty of room on the second, but too much room. He touches the grass. And that just ruins his run into the third and final apex. And Callum Newsham takes 5th place. This place promotes spectacular racing. Dave Newsham's had an off track. Dave Newsham now fighting with Dave Ward. Oh, I'll tell you what, he had an off track. I think he went wide at the first corner. We'll have a quick look. He hasn't lost out on the position yet. He's just trying to fight his way back and claim that. Oh, there's going to be a car in the way. Flashing the lights there as they try and put each other off into the island hairpin. Dave Ward still in behind Dave Newsham and Matt Allen sniffing around trying to pick up the scraps before he needs to. He doesn't need to, Matt Allen, at all. Really put a massive amount of pressure on. Let's have a look and see where Dave Newsham had that little bit of an off. It wasn't Dave Newsham's side, it was Dave Ward, because he was trying to move around the outside of Dave Newsham. Goes off track there, doesn't get the power back on as cleanly. That's why Dave retained the position. I told you, as soon as we start looking elsewhere, Ollie Wayne's had a crash. And so is Matthew Hodgins. As soon as we start looking elsewhere, they start to light it up, those three drivers. So what's happened to Ollie Wayne? Too much speed in? Yeah, that was a very aggressive turn in with a lot of speed going his way. Matt Hodges just ends up hitting him around. But here we go. Is it going to be another repeat? It's not quite as good as exit. Tell you what, Dave Newsham didn't go defensive there at all, and Dave Ward, I bet, thought about it, thought long and hard. Well, I say long and hard, probably for about 1/10 of a second before he decided that it wasn't worth it. This is, remember, we're about to hit halfway mark in this race, about 20 seconds before we hit the halfway stage, and it does feel like we've had just, it's basically broken up into 2 sprint races, this thing. It's fantastic to see. And the Dubai 24 hour. Matt Allen goes very, very wide. I think he was almost going to go into the back of those 2 drivers. Missed his braking zone. Maybe the tyres are starting to go off. Dave Ward flashing the lights again from Dave Newsham. And it is a hard defence, but it's a fair defence, I'd say, so far, from Newsham. And the thing that Dave Ward's got in his mind is the fact that Dave Newsham, he's around the championship battle, but he's not really directly involved with it right now. He won't come out unless these 2 take each other off on your screen now, Ward and Allen. I don't think Newsham will ever come out of this weekend or this evening with the championship lead. And yet, Dave Ward and Matt Allen are pretty much fighting for championship position here. First and second. I think we came in with Matt Allen in the lead of the championship. Dave Ward, though, he took that first win. And so I think that probably meant that Ward leapfrogged Allen. Dave Newsham's going to leapfrog pretty much everyone to go into 3rd place, because we do have Josh Malin, Will Oulton and Bobby Thompson, who are still amongst the top 5 that obviously haven't been here for the past 3 weeks. So they'll be discounted by now. I'd love to be able to show you the championship standings, but as I said, fortunately we don't have them. 2 mistakes again, says Adam McNally. Yeah, bit of a shame that. Si McNally, evening. Nice to have a chat to you. Nice of you to pop in, see how the Porsche PMR Cup is going on. Si McNally, one of the big figureheads in the PMR Power Max racing team. So nice to have you along, Si. Fan flipping tastic, says Cara the Van, for Callum Newsham's move around the outside of Nurburgring. Tell you what, it's it's a good day to be a Newsham fan, I'd say, at the moment. He's come on to have an interview, as Dave He's driving really well here, and Callum is just throwing moves up left, right, and centre. As a driver is off the outside there. I think is that Colin Martin? I can't quite see. He's one of the drivers that isn't on the lead lap, that's for sure. Anyway. And as these guys have just had a quick break, let's have a look. I think Lee Horn was quite close to Matt Hodges, half a second in it between these guys. Dave Ward is still the closest driver who's having a battle, really. And as they go into, Jamie Dory goes into the final corner, it's still himself and Callum Newsham going at each other quite nicely. It's good fun to see these two having a good, clean race as well. Obviously, I'll tell you what, we'll get back to it because Dave Ward's going for the outside move yet again on the island hairpin. I was keeping an eye on their deltas, and it looks like it was closing in for Dave Ward. Is he going to have a better exit? No, Dave Newsham's just about having a hold of it. All of them take that sort of just straight line approach. They don't come across the circuit to take the sort of flatter line, which is very interesting. Don't know if iRacing mimics that at all, but something that you would see in real racing all the time. But yeah, as I was saying, Jamie Dory obviously organises this league. With Lee Horn sometimes, I think Lee Horn helps out, to be fair, but Lee has his own little baby in the Next Gen series. He has the WTCR series on a Monday night. So, Jamie, although he started a new job, I believe, semi-recently, apparently next season they've got some exciting announcements in regards to their series that he's organising. He's organising one with Bobby Thompson. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Because I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that. I don't know how much has been confirmed. But that's all I'm going to say. But basically, it's going to be absolutely awesome. It sounds like it's going to be cracking. And I can't wait to get basically everyone we've got in this series into that series. Plus a whole host of other fun-looking names as well. Cracking to be looking out for. First chance you've had to watch it. Looking great. The site, it's been mega. Bathurst was good fun, but this has actually probably been better racing. Bathurst was more, well, you can imagine it's Bathurst. This has probably been better racing. And, Oulton Park, it's always difficult to overtake, but we've seen some crackers here today. A couple of, fundamental mistakes, but at the end of the day, these Porsche cars are ridiculously hard to drive. They're not exactly an MX-5 or an Audi or a TCR or something like that. They're on an knife edge. As everybody in motorsport knows, really. Anybody who's ever driven one of these in real life knows just how hard they are to execute, get with even a second of race pace, let alone like the extra tenths. I remember having to watch the Porsche Carrera Cup GB for a long time. Well, it felt like a long time. Every race felt like a long time. It was 2 years, 2.5 years? I think it was 2 years that my brother was involved with it, and watching Dan Camish absolutely dominate the series. Was just ridiculous. It seemed like nothing could stop him. There was nothing and nobody that could stop him. And we had to settle for a lot of third place, second place, and fourth places that year. And both years, to be fair. But it did give us the opportunity to go to see the Porsche Super Cup at the Silverstone Grand Prix and the Catalunya Grand Prix. Which it's the first time I've ever experienced a Grand Prix. I've been to Silverstone loads, but never for a Grand Prix, and it is something else. That place transforms. It can feel a bit cold on a British GT morning, trying to get out there in a Ginetta at 9 o'clock in the morning to qualify or something like that. But when the Grand Prix is there, oh my days, it is madness. Lee Horn has passed Matthew Hodges. Matt's car and Lee's car, to be fair, looking really rather worse for wear as they go down towards the Knickerbrook chicane. Nice little move up the inside, though, by Lee. Doesn't outbrake himself either or overcommit the speed through the corners. And it gets a good exit ahead of Matt. And these three, they're threatening. They're constantly threatening. To be fair to Dave Ward, he has tried everything to go around the outside of Dave Newsham. It just hasn't yet been a success story. And you never know. We've still got 15 minutes, or 17 minutes left of this race. You could still see some more desperate moves being thrown here, there, and everywhere. But can we just take a moment? I mentioned it to Dave in the interview. I'll mention it again. Dave Newsham's first sort of a Porsche track experience on iRacing was at Brands Hatch. So let's say that now. But if anybody watched the first round of this series, you'll know that it was not his best at Brands Hatch, and he was you never thought I was amazed to see him back, put it that way. But since then, if you look at the way he's leading this race against some top drivers as well in Matt Allen and Dave Ward, 2 championship contenders, you know, they were scoring great championship points, even when the pros of Will Oulton, Josh Malin, and Bobby Thompson were involved. And Dave Newsom's leading it. Like, he's a seasoned pro, which, you know, he is in real life, but in the sim world, not so much. So it's really very impressive that he's currently out here, you know, just absolutely smashing it, holding off. Holding off Dave Ward. Speaking of holding him off, though, Dave Ward goes around the outside into the final corner. Is this going to be the opportunity? Who's going to be cleaner on the power as they power down the dip and across the start-finish line? Tell you what, Dave Ward, if he pulls this one off around the outside of the last corner and the outside of the first corner, is going to be cracking this contact. Oh, no, Dave Newsom looked like he just came back across a little bit too much. And Dave Ward ends up in the tyre wall. Matt Allen's actually going to maybe try and take advantage of the fact that he had a poor run out the first corner. Not quite yet. Cascades, though. Dave Newsom going right round. And it was unfortunate, really, because Dave Newsom had a coming together in the first race. That wasn't really his fault at all. He's had a coming together in this race, which you could potentially argue. Well, I'll have a look at it before we... Yeah, it looks like... I mean, there's a definite... As we look... if we look at Dave Newsom's perspective... Rewinding never looks great on the stream, but we're going to do it just to have a look. And you can sort of see it. He's aiming towards the racing line, which is on the left-hand side, but he just keeps drifting over. Now, he must know that the Fast R car doesn't have enough room there. It's a split-second decision. You needed to give him an inch or two more. He was going far too much for the racing line. Dave Ward was going for that sort of easing towards the apex, breaking into the apex. Coming together there, but it's a difficult one to say from that snapshot. The stewards will have to have a look at that on the race replay. Dave Ward is still in 3rd place. He's got his teammate in Michael Seal behind him. Matt Allen, though, is the next driver on the radar for Dave Newsom. 31 minutes. It took 30 minutes of Dave Ward to have a real go and to go sort of alongside around the outside and actually almost make it stick. This time, it's going to be Matt Allen to try and get his pole position, well, convert his pole position back into a race lead. First, we're talking to Colin about earlier. Good job, guys. The site, yeah, it's looking awesome. It is, yeah, it's going well. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I was going to ask one that maybe we restream it to the PMR page, but I wasn't that cheeky, don't worry. So let's have a look at the other battles that are going on. Colin Martin. This is actually still the closest battle we've got, but Michael Seal and Dave Ward, obviously, is not really a battle. They're teammates, so they'll be fairly calm. And I think Michael Seal will know that Dave Ward is in for a championship battle, and he's probably a touch quicker. Colin Martin and Thomas Delaney, very close to each other. Adam McNally's actually 2 laps down, and he's out, actually. I think he's out of the race. That means he's actually the driver with the fastest lap of the race so far. Colin Martin goes straight into the wall out of Druids, and was that of his own making, or was there a little bit of contact? I think he was far too far back for there to be contact. Coming out of Druids, I think. Let's have a look on board. Going through Druids with the sun setting, spectacular to see. You can see there the driver in front of Thomas Delaney goes wide, and then just a little bit too keen on the power. Colin Martin over the crest. So easy to do. I mean, even at a low-powered Ginetta compared to this 550 brake horsepower beast that is the Porsches. Even in the Ginetta, I got very shaky, and I've seen people actually flip it there because of that crest and getting the power on far too early. The Callum Newsom all on his own at the moment. Jamie Dory's dropped back by 1.6 seconds, and I have to say this is still. This is still the closest battle on circuit. In fact, no, it's bordering. It's being challenged by Matt Hodges and Lee Horn into the island chicane there. Into the island hairpin. Island chicane is a different track configuration, which I don't ever see. To be honest, I don't think I've ever covered. Maybe once. But I do love that configuration. I don't know why people don't do it more often. But it looks like Jamie Dory's locked up and he's gone straight on. Is he going to go into the side of Matt Hodges? Hodges goes through. And I think Jeff Perkins may well do as well. As Lee, goes a little bit too wide and not quite the run that he wanted to. Up the hill and into Druids. So Lee Horn now drops back. So this is the closest battle we have on circuit, really. Matt Allen, ever since he's got into this place, he was very close when Ward and Newsham had that coming together, but it's not quite gone Allen's way. Keep in mind that he has got 10 minutes to make this move and make it stick as well. He doesn't want to rush things. His entire race has been about picking up points and picking up positions where they appear. Dave Ward, obviously, I wouldn't say he rushed it because he spent half an hour trying to plan the move and do whatever he could. But Matt Allen's certainly taking an awfully lot more patient approach towards it, using all 45 minutes if he has to make sure he is ahead of Dave Newsham at the crucial point. You only need to be ahead by a meter. You only need to be in the lead by 1/10 of a second of the entire race to end up winning. So, being in the lead where it counts is more important than anything else. Matt, though, looking up the inside, trying to fill the mirrors of Dave Newsham, who has shown time and time again that he's not bothered by that. I'll be surprised. The next thing he'll be trying is to flash him. I wouldn't be surprised if he did it now, to be honest. But Dave, he just knows when the car's close enough to have a go at him, he will go defensive. But as soon as it's not, he'll drive his racing line. He'll drive his normal line. He knows that hitting his braking zones and hitting his apexes is far more important than driving in his mirrors. A driver who drives in his mirrors will instantly lose the race. It's just how it goes. The last thing you want to do is start glancing left, right, and centre. Come out corner, look in your mirrors. That's all you need to do. Never look in your mirrors as you're going into a corner. You will miss your braking zone. You won't hit it as hard. You'll miss your apex. You need to be looking through the corner as you're going into it. That's what I was taught anyway. I mean, to be fair, Dave Newsham's an awfully lot better driver than I am in real life. He could well tell differently, and you probably follow his advice rather than mine. Okay, Baker and Carr in the van. I feel like there's a slight biased opinion going on there. As I said, I will let the stewards have a look at it, I think, more than anything else. But there is every chance that he may get a little pinged on that one. So let's give you a rundown of the order as we enter into the last couple of minutes. It is Dave Newsham at the lead of the race, as you know, with Matt Allen in second place. In third, though, is still David Ward, who is catching extremely slowly. He's maintained about the 12-second mark, to be fair. Michael Seal, his teammate, has been dropped by Dave, but it doesn't mean that Michael is in any threat, even though he's got cars around him. They're all back markers. Callum Newsham is the next driver, and he's in fifth, rounding out the top five. Jamie Dory in sixth place. He was an awful lot closer at one. I'll tell you what, actually, hold on. It was Matt Allen's right up the backside. Thought maybe he was going to make a move. We'll try and give you a rundown of the order. In fact, I'll give you a rundown of the order whilst we look at these two cars. So we got down to Jamie Dory in sixth place. Seventh is Matt Hodges, with eighth being Jeff Perkis. Lee Horn in ninth place, and rounding out the top 10 is Jochen Sigert. Sam Holman in 11th place with Thomas Delaney in 12th. Colin Martin in 13th. 14th is Ollie Wayne. Matthew Addy in 15th, but 10 laps down and not running. Adam McNally is 13 laps down and not running. Matt Emmons is... My maths is failing me. An awful lot more laps down and not running. And Freddie Hewitt is 23 laps down and also not running. In fact, if I click down here, you may be able to see, there you go, the drivers at the bottom of the field, unfortunately, who aren't running anymore. There has been a sort of increase in the gap, you could say. Ollie Wayne, though, and Colin Martin having a right good little battle at the moment. I think Ollie Wayne obviously not quite had the look, but Colin Martin, after that trip into the Armco barrier out of Druids, has really messed up the front of his car. You could say that looks like he's saving weight by not having that front bonnet on, but you could also say it's ruining his straight line speed. He's got the fast star car ahead of him, but actually he's 50 seconds behind Thomas Delaney. So these cars really aren't anything to do with him, as Thomas Delaney goes straight on As Ollie Wayne comes round, and sorry, he's not 50 seconds behind. There is, they have overtaken Thomas Delaney now. Now they're 50 seconds behind Jochen Sigert. My bad. It's reading the timing tower a touch there. Last 5 minutes we're about to enter. We've had 29 laps so far of this race. That probably means with a 1:21 second lap, a lot shorter than Bathurst, it has to be said. That's a big 2-minute lap. With a 1:21, it probably means we're about 3-4 laps from the end. I imagine we'll be 4 laps by the time we get round to it, because we are now bang on 5 minutes to go. Jochen Sigert and Sam Holman nice and close to each other as they go up the hill and into Druid. Jochen Sigert's front end looks like it may well be hampering him in the aerodynamic department, let's put it that way. His rear end looks alright, he's got good rear balance, but the rear downforce, but the front is probably unbalancing it somewhat. Maybe plenty of understeer coming through his car there as he misses the apex and comes onto the outside of the circuit, not too far. He clearly knows that his car's damaged. He's driving within the limits of the car, which is exactly what you need to do. Matt Hodges and Callum Newsham. I'll tell you what, something's happened to Callum Newsham, because Jamie Doyle's ahead of him now, and we'll have a quick look because he's had a crash. Oh, well, that was, yeah, the end of the crash. So he comes through the first corner, clips the apex. Oh, is there a little bit too much power on the exit? The rear wheels are starting to go, and Callum Newsham ends up looking the wrong way, spinning the rear wheels up and trying to face the right direction again. David Ward had an off track. Going through Knickerbrook. Oh, is he going to hit the... Oh, tell you what, I thought he was going to hit the Rector cell. He only lost about 1.5 seconds, and thanks to the fact that his teammate Michael Steele is so far back, he doesn't really have to worry about it too much. Hodges is now ahead of Callum Newsham, who's now ahead of Hodges. Not really sure what happened there. As they come up the hill, this is Hodges going past... Oh, it's because he's blinking in and out of existence. Bit of a glitch with racing online. If your connection starts to go, that's what can happen. Bias? Never. That wasn't suggesting a thing, Kay. 3 minutes to go then. It's been an exciting race, hasn't it? I'd like to give this opportunity to thank everyone who's sort of jumped in the comments. That's been so active tonight. It's lovely to see as well, because it gives me someone to talk to. I don't have a co-commentator on this evening. It'd be fun if we did one day, but co-commentators come with extra cost. I know a guy who would love to do it, but they come with extra costs, and at the end of the day, this is racing for fun. These drivers don't want to have to pay to enter, which is completely understandable. They need to keep it affordable, the next gen crew, because it's all about just jumping on and having fun, which is why we love to see it. So yeah, I mean, it's all been great fun, and thank you for everyone who has not only given a like and not only commented, shared as well, and the biggest one is follow. It's awesome to have you along, and I'm really it makes me very proud when I jump on. It makes me want to do it more. At the moment, I can't do it anymore at the moment, which is a bit of a shame. But one day maybe we will. I'm hoping to do a bit of a garage extension out the back and convert that to a home office. Obviously, the converting to a home office market is completely boomed in price recently, which is a bit of a shame. But also the fact that I've got a little puppy who isn't yet old enough to really, be left alone for more than about 45 minutes to an hour. Which means I can't get on the stream or content create very often. But on my YouTube channel, we do have FIFA videos coming out, which is just basically me and my mates having fun. We had one out today, actually, on Pro Clubs. So that's always good fun, but I realise it's not exactly racing content. I'd love to do a bit more F1 2020. But it is what it is at the moment. Maybe one day. As we're coming into the final minute, this will be the final lap, therefore. So I'll shut up about my... my life, and not that many people care about it, I assume, because they're all here to watch the racing. But Matt Allen then is 0.3 of a second behind Dave Newsham. He's been behind him pretty much all the race. Dave Newsham, remember how he got into the lead of the race, was to go around the outside. Oh, Matt Allen span! Matt Allen's had a spin on the final lap of the race. Will he get going before Dave Ward comes along? I think he will, because Dave Ward is a long way back. And Matt Allen gets going. And tell you what, looking in the rearview mirrors, though, will be this man, knowing full well that he could be on for his first victory of the season in the PMR Porsche Cup. Now, everybody touch wood, because coming out of Druids, we've seen is a hot spot for spinning. He just needs to take it 80%. He knows full well how to win a race as Dave. And the Newsham Nutters will be going absolutely berserk, I'm sure, on their keyboards at this one. Because as he comes around the final corner, the checkered flag's about to drop. We're on 45 minutes now, which means this is the last lap of the race. Dave Newsham takes the checkered flag to win the 45-minute feature race here at Oulton Park for the Porsche PMR Cup Round 7. Matt Allen comes across the line to take second place, with David Ward coming out of the final corner to take third, 7 seconds apart, the lot of them, after they were basically 700ths of a second apart for the majority of this race. Michael Seal flashes the lights, gets what he deserves out of the weekend. He thought he was quick. He's proved that today in 4th place. Jamie Dory in 5th as well, with Callum Newsham coming across the line in 6th place. Matthew Hodges, the only person to start where he finished, 7th place. Everybody else had a bit of a difference. As we're waiting for a couple of other drivers to come across the line. Wow, oh wow. Dave Newsham wins for the first time this series, to be honest. There we go. I knew you guys would enjoy that. Brilliant race, everyone. Well done, Dave Newsham. Dave kept his head nice and calm. Winner, hashtag Newsham Nutters. Go, Dave Newsham. Woohoo. Congratulations, Callum. Yes, oh my goodness. Yeah, great for that. Great job, Jack. That's gutting. That's gutting, Chocolate Cosy. Thank you very much for letting me know, though. I'll come and co-commentate. My specialist subject is the Newshams. You should be commentating with the pup. I do want to get the pup in one day, but he hasn't been in the office yet because it's basically got wires everywhere. I don't want him to chew on everything. He's basically not allowed anywhere apart from the kitchen and the living room at the moment. So we can basically keep an eye on him constantly. I'll tell you what, we will bring up the results, because we can do that now, and then I've got an interview a person waiting for an interview. Matt Allen in first place. No, he's not. What? Dave, you shouldn't get a penalty. The last time this happened, I claimed that iRacing had a glitch. Oh, that was the qualifying results. Nobody panic. Nobody panic. That was qualifying. Dave Newsham officially takes the race victory from Matt Allen in 2nd place. Dave Ward in 3rd with Michael Seal in 4th place. Jamie Dory was in rounding out the top 5. Callum Newsham ended up in 6th with Matthew Hodges in 7th place. Lee Horn in 8th. Jeff Perkins 9th. Sam Holman rounding out the top 10. Jochen Siggert in 11th. Colin Martin in 12th, 1 lap down. Oh, Jochen Siggert is, he's part of the next gen. It's updated. Brilliant. Colin Martin a lap down in 12th. Ollie Wayne a lap down in 13th. Thomas Delaney a lap down in 14th. Matthew Addy, Adam Minali, Matt Emmons, and Freddie Hewitt, all non-finishers, 15th down to 18th. And on that note, we can bring in our interviewer. Not interviewer, interviewee? Whichever way around it is. I'm the person asking the questions. Dave Newsham, congratulations. I think I'm your lucky charm here. You come out with a race win in that one.
Yeah, maybe well. That was a hard race, that was.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was 45 minutes of, 1, not spinning, which a lot of people didn't manage, and 2, absorbing the efforts of 2 of the fastest drivers on this championship now. That is top dollar racing.
Yeah, but it is the Monaco of the UK, isn't it? So you've just got to not make any mistakes, and they're not going to get past you. But yeah, I've just looked back at the replay of my incident with David, and yeah, it looks like I moved over him. I'm looking at the corner, and yeah, there's been a slight touch there, and he's gone off, but it was me that moved across. So yeah, major apologies, David.
Yeah, I was going to say we did have a couple of looks at that one, and the Newsham Nutters were, I would say, probably a slightly biased view.
What a surprise.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you've come out and apologised already. It did look like you were going for the racing line, and Dave Ward was sort of looking to go into the corner a bit earlier maybe than you were. But at the end of the day, you came out with a race victory. Don't know what the stewards are going to say or anything like that, but you must be pleased with how you performed out on track. I think that's easily your most consistent running that I've seen you do in terms of your lap times and your sort of absorbing pressure behind.
Yeah, without question, the best race I've done. Yeah, especially under that much pressure. I did have a few moments, quite a few moments, but I don't know if you saw it on the screen, but yeah, there was a couple of times where I thought, oh no, it's gone, and I managed to hold on to it. But yeah, it's just driving it kind of 90 to 95% the whole time, which is difficult when you've got guys all over the back of you. And I put a few laps in. I put my best lap time was right at the end there. I just started to brake, Matt, and then nearly spun at the hairpin. So I thought, oh no, let's back off.
I was going to say, it's the last time, isn't it, that you want to make a mistake with the rear tyres probably going as well. I have to say as well, I have to ask, sorry, you know, obviously all your real life experience, you seem to absorb that pressure so well. Was real life sort of, has that prepared you for that sort of absorbing pressure in the sim world, or do you almost get more nervous in sim racing than you would do if you were leading a race in real life?
I've always been pretty good at soaking up pressure in real life. This is a different kettle of fish because I'm not 100% comfortable with the car. So I'm placing the car, and you know that incident with David there, that would never have happened in the real life because I'd have a better understanding of what's going on around me. But so it's in sim world, you've just got to give it a little bit more room. You can't really rub each other in these either because it just a small contact and you're off, which is probably not like the real thing either.
No, the damage model is definitely, it's different to the real life racing. I will grant you that, absolutely. Just a quick touch on the real life thing then, because I was obviously we ran out of time last time, but what's the plans? Sorry, I know. Yeah,
I knew it was the rest. I had to reboot my computer. It crashed on me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking. I jumped in. I was like a minute into qualifying. I was like, oh crap, God, what's Dave gonna do?
I literally had 2 flying laps in qualifying. So yeah,
you did pretty well to qualify where you did then.
Yeah.
What are the plans for 2021 then for you and Callum? What's the deal then? Is it still looking for budget? Still have the open doors, or is it anything set in stone that we can know about?
Yeah, we're 100% entered for next year with Callum in the mini championship. The entry's in. I run the car myself. The car's in my garage at the minute.
Awesome!
Completely stripped.
That's like old school karting, that isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean this COVID thing is really it's I wouldn't say it's ruined my business, but 2020 was an absolute nightmare for me. And yeah, I haven't got a lot of money now, to be honest. So every penny counts. So I'm doing all the work myself. I'm going to run it myself next year. Pretty much, I did do this year, to be fair, but I had some support from the team, and the team LDR Racing prepped the car last year. But I'm going to prep it myself. So I'm going to be hauling it up and down up and down the country after each meeting now. But it'll save me a chunk of money, and I don't mind playing about with the car actually in the garage.
I was going to say that is very admirable. To be fair, I'm very impressed. I wouldn't have a clue where to start, and I don't think I'd trust my dad to chuck me out in a car either. That he's prepared. But no, I mean, fair play. I will let you get off because obviously it's getting quite late. But is there anybody else that you'd like to give a quick shout out to? Any other sort of sponsors or just anything else in general that you wanted to say that maybe we didn't get to last time?
Yeah, no, just I mean, my fan club are sponsors as well. They support Callum with the racing as well. They club together and support us. They're actively out looking for sponsorship for us. I've been looking for sponsorship as well, but I'm really gonna make a start on it. It's always a bad time of the year to be looking for sponsors, I think. Anyway.
Yeah,
no, it's not good. So really, I need some more money to do it properly. We've budgeted for 3 pre-season tests, which is 3 more than we got. Well, it's 2 more than we got last year. So we should be better prepared than we were last year. Callum was on the podium on the last race of the year last year. So
good momentum then.
So it's we're carrying that momentum on. He's just getting quicker all the time. Like me, he's struggling in the sim world. He's a much better real racing driver. Really enjoy looking after Callum and coaching him and watching his progression. We'll have a good go at sponsors shortly, and hopefully we're getting a few on the way, and we can do a bit more testing and spend a bit more money on the car.
Yeah, so as you say, it's always a horrible time to look for sponsors because everybody else is as well, and especially with Brexit and everything like that, it's just everyone wants to keep hold of their cash. Cash is king at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
that's right. I've just noticed over the last, I noticed it throughout my touring car career. Every year got harder to find sponsors.
Absolutely,
and it's carrying on. Every year just gets a little bit worse, and you're just having to dig a bit further into your own pocket. But
you'll ping something together, won't you? And just before you go, I would like to say on the comments as well, Matt Allen's actually come on and said, "Well done, Dave Newsham. I couldn't have pushed you any harder than that as well." So good sportsmanship all around, really, isn't it?
No, these boys are great to race with. They really are, and I'm gutted about that incident with David. I'm gutted about that, but hopefully he'll forgive me.
Well, I'm sure he'll be back next week. I'll be honest, I've forgotten off the top of my head what next week is, but I'm sure we'll enjoy it.
It might be Monza.
Oh, it might be Monza. Oh, slipstream galore, won't it?
Slipstream galore, yeah. That'll be a trainer for about 15 cars, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love Monza. MX-5 racing and everything. It's brilliant. We'll let you go, Dave. Thank you very much for jumping on and having a chat. And we'll speak to you next week, hopefully, if you end up on a podium again, which I'm sure you will. The pace you're going.
Good stuff. Cheers.
That was Dave Newsham. Lovely guy. I mean, as I said, I've never spoken to him before tonight. Always just commentated over him. He seems to be a lovely guy. We're going to be off. Thank you very much for watching, liking, following, subscribing, doing whatever you ended up doing. Having a chat as well in the comments is absolutely cracking. I'm going to jump off, put the little puppy to bed. So I will see you next Friday. If you want to have a watch of anything else, then you can follow or subscribe on the channel. We are covering the... What's next? Am I doing anything tomorrow? I should know this. No. Yes. Sunday, we're covering something for Absolute Racing. I haven't got all the details off the top of my head at the moment. Then we got some NASCAR on Monday. Then we got the BSI MX-5 on Tuesday. And then we got 2 days off. And then we're back to this. And then I think we've got a full weekend after that as well. So by all means, keep it pinned for more sim racing shenanigans and coverage and commentary. And we'll see you next Friday if it's the Porsche PMR